Okay, I apologize for the way I look if you can see me because well, we just haven't stopped, have we, for the past week? Um,
No,
I've
we
been
have
on,
not.
I have actually been on the phone several times today with different legislators. Um, and I also talked with a friend of ours who is, in fact, when I sent him a text, he has been really helped us in so many times. And so I told him the situation and that I try to limit my ask of him because he is very close with the governor. And so when I sent him and told him what was going on, I said, I hate to ask you this, if there's any way that you can get a message directly to the governor. And he said, I wish you'd called me 30 minutes ago. I've been out on the golf course all afternoon with him. And I went, oh, God. Oh. But he told me send all the information and he would see what he could get. Would pass it on to him. Okay, I think we have mentioned, and I know there are a lot of, and I am so excited to see that we have it. Well, excited, but at the same time, this shows you the impact and the concern that we have with over 135, and it continues to grow on our participants online right now. We have, and I say we, Robin and our GR team, that we have been communicating with a number of our key legislators that we've reached out to, those that have been strong supporters of ours, strong friends of ours, who we feel like that do have the strength to reach out and make their voices heard on our behalf, which they've been doing. They've been reaching out. I tell them, they say, well, tell us exactly what it is that you need from us right now. And because there's been all kinds of things thrown around, like issuing an injunction, doing lawsuits, and not saying that all of those cannot happen. But the problem is, we have to do something that can be done immediately. Even if you file an injunction, that can take time, a lot of time, many times. So we're trying to reach out to do whatever we can immediately. So we did reach out, several of our legislators reached out directly to the governor's office and basically asking the governor's office to contact the Board of Medicine and ask them to at least temporarily retract the position statement that they sent out. That and at the very least to retract it until either they had their meeting next week, preferably until we could get an official position statement from the Attorney General. Okay, now he was working, all of them that reached out, they were working with the governor's staff. And the governor's staff did, we understand from what they told us, they said that the governor's staff did reach out to the Composite Medical Board and ask them, to slow down. Their words were retract. We got, in fact, we got two emails last night from two of our legislators who said, we've reached out to the governor's office. They have told us that the Board of Medicine is going to retract that original statement. That was the last thing they told us. But as soon as they told us that, we got the second notice from the Composite Medical Board, which is certainly not a retraction. I mean, all of you that have read it, now I've actually even had legislators say, I said, I mean, tell us right now if they do not retract this. I mean, as we stand right here, right now, uh, they said, well, some of them said off the record, I would I would encourage them if it was me and I was that APRN, I would continue on as I've been doing until we have an opportunity to meet next week with the board meeting. But I said, well, a lot of them do not feel comfortable when you have and also when you've got physicians now either canceling their protocols or them also saying how concerned they are. I said, you're asking us when they have made it, when the regulating board has made a statement that they're basically saying that they feel that we're not that the protocol agreement is in violation of the statute, in their opinion. So, unfortunately, I did get, and and I just sent this to you, Nancy. I don't know if you can put it out on the chat. And I just got a text from Matt Gamble, who is one of our strong supporters. He's a state rep from over in the Cartersville area. He's a governor's floor leader, very respected. He actually was at the Capitol today. He actually physically went to the Capitol and talked with the staff. Hold on one second.
And Juliana, while you're doing that, and I want to be sure I'm referencing the right, is titled Public Notice with today's date. You want us to share that in the chat? The document you sent via email? Okay, we'll do. Thank
you. It's the one that Matt Gamble just sent that to me just before we started the call. And of course, he said, Julia, I've talked with them, and the issue that we have is that the governor is out of the office. Okay, he was on his way. He's on his way to, I think, the RGA conference. Now, like I said, I know he was out with our friend this afternoon. I don't know where they were, but I know he's not in the office at the state capitol. So his staff is kind of, they can do it to a certain point, and evidently they reached out and asked the composite board, to consider, retracting that statement until it could be get additional either analysis through their board, or through the AG's office. And then instead of doing that, they sent this second public notice statement, which does not. And I sent this I have set me up a group chat. In fact, Matt Brass called me this afternoon, has certainly been a supporter. His wife is an APRN. She's a CRNA. He has pushed and carried legislation for us. And he said, well, Juliana, what can we do now, especially if the governor's office has already asked them and that they have not complied with the staff? I said, well, it was also recommended from this other legislator, said, do we have any APRNs who have very, very strong relationships directly with the governor? Okay, so I did ask, as I've started earlier, I did ask this very good friend of ours who's very good friends with the governor, would you consider trying to get this information to him and just to tell him how critical it is that we get something that he encouraged that medical board to put a stay on this immediately. I said, we're bleeding by the hour. I said, you wouldn't believe the stories we're getting. This is impacting us all over the state of Georgia. And I said, and you're really asking, because it's just, they did put out he said, well, this is just their position statement. I said, but their position statement, they're a regulating body for the physicians, as well as having the oversight of the protocol agreements. And even if I tell the physicians it's illegal for you to do this, then even without anything, then we're moving ahead really with the understanding that they feel, according to their statements, that it's illegal. So, but we're not doing it. We're continuing. I've reached back out to several of those legislators said they would reach out again. They're going to make every effort to get now to the governor's chief of staff. I've got this other gentleman who's going to try to reach directly out to the governor, because I think it will take, I think, the governor actually reaching out to the board, saying, because the board, as they were explaining, even the staff, the medical board doesn't answer to anybody. They're appointed by the governor. So if the governor personally puts pressure on them, that is probably the only person that can really have an impact on them, making this decision to formally retract it for right now, rescind it for temporarily now. So I think in light of that, and one of the legislators did mention, well, just also get your nurses to start flooding the medical board and the governor's office, with requests that this be retracted, and get as many nurses as you can to that meeting, to the board meeting next Thursday. Now were you able to pull up what Matt sent?
Yes, yes. So the marketing team has launched it in the chat. And for those who are just joining, we're using the chat for attachments. So the agenda for tonight's meeting is in the chat, and the document that Juliana is referencing is just posted as well in the chat. Yes.
So they can click on it and and open it up. Because we do need to carefully, I think, read what he just said. Okay. I'm pulling it up on my other computer. Okay.
Juliana, just so you know, marketing is also launching as a shared screen as well, if that helps you at all.
Oh, good. Yeah, that would be better, I think, if we put it like that. It scares. Okay. Now that's the public notice from the composite board. I'm talking about the email that I sent to you just before the meeting started from Matt Gamble directly.
Okay, I'll resend that one.
If we can put it up on the screen, and I'll start. This came from, okay, Matt, of course. Okay, so Matt sent, this is Representative Matt Gamble, sent an email to Jason Jones, Executive Director of the Medical Board. And he said, I hope you're well. I'm reaching out regarding the recent interpretation of law by your attorneys regarding APRNs. While I am appreciative that the board will discuss this further at your June 4th meeting, there still seems to be great confusion as to what they can do between now and then. Some of them who take a very literal interpretation are ceasing to see patients in fear they are violating the law. I don't know what to tell them, but I wanted you to know the precarious position this places them in. I did speak with the governor's office. I appreciate any consideration that can be given to clarify this before June 4th. Okay, so, and then we understand that Jason, the executive director, this was issued and then he went on vacation. So he is now on vacation right after this was issued. Which also the governor's office seemed a little perplexed, wait, this is one of the most critical statements you've ever issued, though. And so then he received the email back from the Composite Medical Board. Good afternoon, Representative Gamble. Thank you for your email. Jason is currently out of the office, but I wanted to acknowledge receipt of your message on his behalf. I know he appreciates you making him aware of the concern providers have. He will follow up with you as soon as he is able upon his return. The Composite Medical Board has issued an official public notice regarding the recent position statement. We encourage stakeholders to continue monitoring the board's website and official communication channels for updates and additional guidance as this matter is being discussed further at the board's June 4th meeting. We certainly understand the concerns being raised regarding the interpretation and implementation. At this time, individuals and organizations are encouraged to submit comments, concerns, and feedback through the channels outlined in the public notice so they may be appropriately reviewed and considered by the board. That's what he just received. And
it is shown on the screen as well, Juliana. They were able to share that as well.
Okay. And then something that I read where, okay, I've called today, I don't know how many times, trying to speak with someone at the board. a medicine, and of course, to no avail. I've left messages early this morning. It's not been returned. Any calls. They have the notice of the meeting. It really doesn't even say officially what time it starts. It says in some point their meetings start at 12 o'clock a.m. and it goes all day. Okay, but if you look back at other meetings, they typically start at 7:30 a.m. It's called to order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're trying to also at this point get a copy of the agenda so that we will know if they're going to be discussing this issue in the morning session or in the afternoon session. Give us some kind of time frame. I know that Robin sent a text to directly to Jason, trying to get some feedback. Last time I heard, Robin said, "Could you unmute her?" So she
Okay, will
may.
do. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a perfect segue because she's actually up next on the agenda. So marketing, if you can unmute Robin to allow her to present. And for those again who are just joining the call, Juliana McConnell, our lobbyist, is currently presenting. I am Nancy Herlock, the president, and we have the agenda attached in the chat. We will allot for the last 30 minutes of the call for open forum questions, but our moderator does control the unmuting of the mic and so on. So your chat. The chat room is the best place to initiate your questions, and we'll engage with questions and answer in the last 30 minutes. So Robin, if you can hear us,
Okay.
then you're muted.
Before you turn it over to Robin, just a couple of quick finals. Okay, so I think that we do need to discuss on this to number one, to activate, and especially knowing that we're still waiting to hear back, because I did contact several other these legislators and said, please keep trying to get directly to the governor. See if you can get the governor to ask them to issue a retraction of this original statement, even prior to the June 4th board meeting. But in the meantime, let's talk a little later about what we can start doing immediately as a group to get. But with the last thing being, we need to plan to have as many nurses as we possibly can. This is just so critical. Whatever you do, if you can, and we can talk in more detail about getting nurses there on next Thursday at their board meeting. It's at across the street at the Twin Towers across the street from the Capitol, and have as many of you as we can possibly get there in your white lab coats. Even you may not wear white lab coats, but we want to be able to identify as nurses. We need to have it flooded, and then let's talk a little bit later. I think, Nancy, about what is it we can also provide with testimony from you and how it's impacting you, testimony from some of the clients, and even bringing, if you've got some, one of your patients to bring. But this is the time we've got to turn out in mass numbers at that board meeting. But
Agreed.
even prior to that, let's also talk, and we can send later about sending messages still to the Board of Nursing, the Board of Medicine, and the governor's office.
And Robin,
so Juliana,
let me just say the chat was locked, but the chat is now unlocked. And Robin, you have the floor.
So just to piggyback on what you said, Juliana, of course, as a practice owner, I reached out to my own attorney, right, to discuss this matter and next steps. And of course, everybody's talking about lawsuits and that type of thing. The problem.
You broke up. Can't hear you.
Robin, you still with us?
I got calls coming in, sorry. And it messed it up. Litigation is going to take a extremely long time, like years. Even if you're talking about the case in Missouri with a nurse practitioner who is suing the state of Missouri over the private practice agreement, it's taking years. His recommendation was that we get that agreement to be rescinded. That's the fastest option. It's the best option for everyone who has a practice that they mitigate damages. We have practices that are being shut down right now with a termination date of June 1 for these protocol agreements. So we need that to stop, and we need to stop right away. So how we do that is to continue calling and calling and calling. The constituent line, which we've posted at the governor's office, that's one way to call as well. If you know your federal legislators, you can reach out to them. We have I think a Congressman Jason Ridley who's getting involved. He's from the northwest corner of the state. He's getting involved. He's going to make some phone calls on our behalf. We have one of the speech writers for the president, who is from Murray County. Somebody has connected with him through a Chamber of Commerce director for Murray County, and they've asked for help at the federal level. So the more people that we touch, the better the outcome's going to be, and hopefully we can get that thing rescinded quickly.
Okay. And I'm going to start addressing as they come through. Pardon the interruptions. One of the questions that came in was about a letter that can be sent to governor's office and representatives. That is posted on the UAPRN website under resources. There's a resources tab. Now, in fairness, the call to action, you will notice, is a little bit outdated. It was 2 days ago. A lot has happened since, but there are some talking points and there's a templated letter that you can access there on the webpage. The next question may be for either Robin or Juliana. It is a legislative question, and it is a reference to, let's see. The question is, curious how the recent May 13th House Bill 1247, Georgia Bureaucratic Deference Elimination Act, falls into play here, if at all. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar.
What was that bill number?
1247, House Bill 1247. Deference Elimination Act.
I am not familiar with that, but a lot of people are thinking that the case in Texas might have spurred this on. I don't think so much. It's where somebody gave TPN through an IV at a hydration clinic and they were a non-licensed person. I think this has been MAG's intent for a very long time. We've seen it at the Capitol through all the legislation and all the defense that we have been doing the past 2 years. We have done more defensive work at the Capitol than trying to run legislation. And if you've been on Updated 8, you've heard what we've had to defend. It's crazy. Juliana, I'm sure, is probably looking that up right now.
Surely, no
I've
worries.
not heard of that.
We'll circle back. No worries. Let's see. Thursday next week. What time? Okay, so the June 4th reference, the letter that we first shared on the screen, that was the update that was sent yesterday from the Georgia Composite, and they're referencing their board meeting date. What Juliana and what we're suggesting is that we, as APRNs, plan on being present as a show of force, as a show of support, to advocate for ourselves, and certainly showing a presence at that meeting. What Juliana references is that usually they post the agenda and it tells you exactly what's happening at what time. So then we can share with you, show up at 1, show up at 11, etc. Unfortunately, they have not done so. So as much as we know June 4th, we don't know the exact time. What we will be doing, UAPRN will be formulating an actual registration that will be posted as a link. In that registration, if you participate in any of our events in the past, like the day at the Capitol, for example, all it does is it captures names, numbers, and we can then communicate with you updates through that registration. So closer to the date, if we know an exact meeting time, we'll update. But for now, we're kind of asking everyone to save the date, if you will, for the June 4th. So that is as much as we know, but June 4th is the referred date. Class action is what we need. That's a comment from Natalie. Thank you for your comment. What is BON saying? I believe Juliana referenced that or referenced, but I'll pause here in case there's any further comment on that question. What is BON saying?
We're in constant contact with Tara. We've texting today. She was blindsided by this as well. She was made aware of this by myself and Juliana about a week before the position statement came out. Remember that number 12 question that was added to the protocol agreement? That was just added about 4 weeks ago or so. And that's when we got the trickles of folks getting denied. They're trying to push their CLAB through, and it was getting denied because of question number 12, which states to the physician, are you receiving any compensation, monetary or otherwise, for this service? And if you hit yes, you're automatically denied. Now, you can call the Board of Medicine, explain your situation, say, I'm not being paid by the APRN, I'm being paid by somebody else. and they may or may not approve it. Now, they did target these third-party vendors. For Jason, they're not following the law. They're misleading to NPs and physicians, and they're not doing what needs to be done. And he named out several in that position statement, and we've connected with several of them as well.
Okay.
So, but no, according to the Board of Nursing, Tara's trying to reach out to. Now, I've seen something on Facebook today that says that meeting on Thursdays at 10 a.m. I would please wait until Juliana confirms that. But now you can take time off from work. It's probably going to be in the morning. We're not for sure, but we need at least 500 people to show up. Patients, your staff, whatever, because this is just so critical. Nancy, did you see the chat where there's somebody who
Yes, there's some more questions I'm
practice?
going through. Yeah, next question we
Yeah.
have up. Is there any way we can show up to the Capitol or something before June 4th? I feel like waiting till June 4th is too late. The short answer is we can always show up. The larger question is
Nobody's there. It's under
Exactly.
construction.
Yeah, that's correct. I was going to say, in terms of aesthetics, absolutely. In terms of the impact, not so much. So not that we cannot do before the 4th. What we're trying to do is when we finally bring all of us together, we want it to be impactful and meaningful. Next question is Buddy Carter has been notified, and that's from Lynn. Thank you for that, Lynn. I'm not sure if Lynn wants to expand some more, but she says Buddy Carter has been notified. Next comment comes from Nikki Evans. The governor will be in Brunswick tomorrow, as well as some of our representatives. I have someone who will bend some ears. Okay, Nikki Evans, you may want to be in contact with Robin and Juliana. I'm not sure if you want to drop your contact, if that's helpful to you guys at all. That's Nikki Evans in the chat on his location. Another.
Get his ear.
I'll pause there for a second. Pardon?
I said absolutely, and if she can get to him, get his ear, the more people. But before you continue on with the chat, let me interject something that I forgot to say earlier. That is, I talked with someone, a friend of mine. I cannot call their name, but they had a doctor's appointment today with a cardiologist who also serves on the Composite Medical Board. And so I had given them, they tell me, hey, I've got an appointment with the doctor that's on the board. He said, tell me what I need to say. So after their examination, they did tell him, said, I just wanted to let you know, a message from the nurse, that your Composite Medical Board, the statement that y'all put out has absolutely caused chaos and is a crisis in the state of Georgia. He said, oh, so I hear, like that. But he did, in the conversation, he said, well, the statement, though, it's not when it was put out, we are addressing what we're going after originally is these IV clinics, the med spas, and these ketamine clinics. He said, and she said, well, it doesn't matter what you might say you were going after. With the wording that you put in that statement, and the definition that you put in there, you have impacted all the clinics that are owned by any APRNs in this state of Georgia. And it has created a crisis. And he said, well, tell them to reach out, let us hear from them and show up to the board meeting. She said, oh, not to worry. They will be.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Okay, and Lynn also posted that Larry Walker and Danny Mathis have also been involved. Thank you for that as well, Lynn. This is coming from Rex Campbell. Representative Vance Smith has been notified and is very interested in the situation. He has asked that his cell number be shared. Members of the Government Relations Council, that's in the chat under Rex Campbell. I don't want to call his cell number here, but Shannon, Robin, I'm not sure if members of the team, Chandler.
Chandler's
Okay,
close
perfect.
with him.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, awesome. So you guys can grab that from Rex and get that number for Representative Vance Smith. And that.
So I'm getting some texts, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
People monitoring the chat. I think we need to take a breath here and step back because we think there's some confusion about what this is really meaning. Who does it affect?
Oh, surely.
So what currently, as the statute states in law, it's been there for years, nurse practitioners, APRNs, cannot employ or pay directly a physician. Now, some of us that are business owners in other companies have done things like ClabMD. They are third-party vendors who will be the mediator to make that payment and arrangement between the physician and the nurse practitioner. This position statement states that they have reinterpreted the regulation, the rule, and that they will not allow that third party to be involved to pay the physician. They think it's essentially the same as an NP paying the doc. Now, what they don't say, they don't clarify who can pay the physician. And our attorney lobbyist, Juliana, argued these docs are not going to do it for free. They're consulting. They're not an employee. We argued about the definition of employee. They're consulting, just like you have your CPA or your tax, person. You consult with them a month when there's an issue, and you pay them for that service. It's the same, and they aren't going to do it for free. So that's what the rule is stating. So right now, it does affect current practice owners, but it also prevents any APRN on this call who someday might want to be an entrepreneur, might want to do something on their own. It prevents any APRN from ever being a business owner. And that's, restriction of trade. So right now, the immediate issue is us, nurse practitioners, that are owners of a clinic. Now, what this also states is the owner of the practice is the nurse practitioner. If we are paying a physician, that position cannot be the owner's delegating physician. So the other NPs in the practice who do not own the practice are fine. They can continue to practice in that arrangement because they are not paying the physician directly. However, it's the owner of the practice that has to figure out the delegation piece. Does that make more sense?
It sure does. Thank you for breaking that down. And I do see it ties right into the next question, so that helped clarify. Thank you. And the next question did come from Natalie. She says, to please clarify if all APRNs or relate are only owners, APRN owners. So thank you for that clarification. This one is about BON again. This is from Dr. Sydney Ibiam. Have not heard from Board of Nursing. What are they saying or doing? I think we addressed that, but unfortunately, the comment goes on to say physician canceled the agreement today. So that's an unfortunate outcome.
They're getting scared.
Yeah, no doubt. Next comment is from Lindsay. I have an 11 Alive news contact. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay. A lot of you have asked about media. Do we go to the media? I will say this, as an individual APRN person representing yourself, any forum, any platform you choose to utilize, it is a free state, it is a free country, you can do so. Under the guide and advisement of our lobbyists, we do have to be a little bit more cautious with public statements. So we do defer to our lobbyist and her team. She has a lawyer that's part of her team. They vet everything we say, they scrub it. As you can appreciate, we want to be sure that we're never the reason as an organization why any one of our members are potentially targeted or somehow misrepresented. So we are a little bit more cautious. But those of you who have contacts, you want to use social media, go for it. Go for it. Because layperson Nancy will be the first to tell you, I am all about advocacy and empowerment. And I believe that your voices should never be muffled. So any one of you have those contacts, feel free to use so. And if we are in need, the day comes where UAPRN has given the green light for that media coverage, we will for sure take you guys up on those recommendations. Class action lawsuit is what is needed, and that's been resonated a few times here. Let's see. What about media involvement? Same thing. Anyone has contacts for local media or NPR. And let me just take the moment to also recognize that we realize that there are also some social media platforms. We know that there's some Facebook pages for some other APRN platforms. We welcome all of those dialogues. If you don't hear from us, because sometimes it does seem frustrating, and I get that it may be frustrating when we're not rapidly responding to either Facebook or other social media platforms, just know it's always in a space of cautiousness. We want to be sure that when we represent the state as members or member organization, we do so in a way that's very strategic. So we welcome dialogue. We encourage it. Those who serve in leadership, we all have our talking points. We all have our interests. Whenever we present outside of UAPRN, we have our statement, if you will, that when we speak independent of UAPRN as a citizen of sorts. But when we represent UAPRN, we're a little bit more cautious. So yes, we do have local involvement, media involvement, social media involvement for sure. And you guys are all empowered. Each of you on this call, please know that you're empowered to take on activism in your own way and in your own community. Why not counter with proposing and pressing for legislation for unrestricted practice in Georgia? Here we go. Full practice authority. There's no secret. That's what UAPRN has been about from day one, but I'll pause here and allow Robin and Juliana to talk through what those steps are. We wish it was a flip of a switch, but I'll pause to allow Robin to comment on that question.
Well, we have to get through this first and kind of take a temperature of where we stand. Absolutely, we should try for a full practice authority, and we speak with ANP policy all the time. They have templates for us, and we'll see them when we're in Vegas at the conference. And if those of you that are going, we'll see you there. But we have to make sure we're not going to get retribution from this current situation. So Julian and I will and Wesley and Michelle Dunn will monitor the situation and see what can come out of this. We are looking for every single loophole possible to push us through. I even told Jason that the law needs to be changed. I mean, if we're sitting here arguing about the definition of employee and if a nurse can or cannot own a practice, and that the law has had no intention of letting an NP be independent, I'm like, this is crazy. We just need to change the law. And of course, he didn't bite when he didn't want to talk about it. But I would like, and AMP's advised us that one of the last steps in our process, we would try to full practice authority first, then try to change the statute that states we can't employ physicians. I would like to see if possibly we can at least change that this year with this, because as we've been talking, it's going to take forever to get an injunction. It's going to take years to get an injunction. Just because we get this rescinded doesn't mean that they're not going to try to change, to do something again down the road. And they will, believe me, they will. So I would really like to see that employee provision removed personally.
Yeah, so just know that we are not opposed to that. I think the end of the comment says the time is now. Let's stop getting jerked around. Amen. Amen. And so we're right there with you. Trust me, we're right there with you. What is our lawyer doing or offense as well as defense? Okay, so let me clarify in terms of the term of our lawyer. UAPRN is an advocacy organization. We don't offer legal advice, and we are cautioning that we are not responsible for legalities in terms of proposing legal counsel and like, but we do advise each of you that sees fit and sees a reason to have legal counsel to please do so, but it is independent of UAPRN. When we reference lawyer and lawyering, Juliana McConnell is our lobbyist. She lobbies on behalf of UAPRN. Her company and organization, part of their staff, if you will, includes lawyers. So when we talk about a lawyer vetting, they scrub our comments, they make sure everything's in line, they review documents and such. So when we mention a lawyer, they are acting on behalf of the organization in that way. So I hope that offers clarity to Natalie. I have a letter. My patients, she says she has a letter her patients sign, and can she send that? Absolutely. And if you're talking about sending that to your legislator, Natalie, yes, for sure. Yes, that actually would be Lynn, excuse me, that was Lynn. Let's see. And I'll pause here. I'm going to keep reading comments. Anyone in leadership needs a moment to either add, interject, give comments, etc. Anyone in leadership?
This is Juliana. Can
Sure.
I also point out, I believe that we might have, and there's so many people on here, I can't see everybody, but if they are, we had asked, they reached out to us that our CRNA association, who does a phenomenal job for CRNAs in the government relations arena. And we worked very closely with them this past year. They had legislation, we advocated, to support them. And if they're on, I think they see if either I know if it was Megan Brass, was Megan or Tyler. If either one of them are on, Nancy, I would be great just to let them
Sure.
make a few It's because they bring such a wealth of knowledge and the strength of the CRNAs. Because, as I mentioned, when that was the ketamine clinics, which was the legislation that passed this year, and that there's already, if you recall, when we met with the Board of Medicine last week, they mentioned they had a committee working on the ketamine clinic issue also. So, and I don't know, are either one of them or
If they're
Megan
on,
or
let's see, I think you guys are able to
Paula
read
or anybody from on the board for CRNA.
CRNAs. If you're here, if you'd acknowledge yourselves, we'll have marketing unmute your mic and enable your camera, and we'll keep scrolling. And if there's a way to our marketing team 444, if we can scan the attendees to unmute and enable. Lisa Johnson, part of GRC, posted a comment, additional details of the economic analysis, and that was the rule that was posted earlier. So the rest of the team probably can analyze a little bit further, but she did put some information in the chat on that for those who are asking about the economic analysis House bill. Somebody referenced being denied twice. That must be in reference to the collaborative agreement. That's Shiera. Dr. Ibiam, we need to let the public know what is happening via demonstrations because it's going to impact them too. You're not wrong. We're hoping to use the momentum leading up to June 4th for that. And again, if you guys are members of organizations, use the templated wording we've provided, but you guys are empowered to do this as well. And whatever we can do as UAPRN and members here on this call, we're right behind you. So as much as we are the organization for the state, you guys are empowered to do so as well. So please know that. Let's see, Dr. Herlock, your voice is clear, but other speakers are echoed, difficult to understand. Thank you for that, Brenda. We'll make an effort to clear up our verbiage. After we put out this immediate fire, this is Tyler. It is time to unite behind full practice authority. Amen to that. Yes, and so we are in fact lighting the candle on both ends. We recognize that. And most of you who are familiar with UAPRN, all of this that we're happening, that is very true to what's happening now. But Juliana, GRC, and I've been in this role 2.5 years, but there is a foundation that goes 20 years back before, it is just incredible. If you have time to go through the history of UAPRN, Desiree Clement is on here. There's been such advocacy from this group, and I'm humbled by the work that's been done. So just know that this is one of many things that has happened and we've navigated and weathered before. What this recent action or this ruling has done is really reignite what we've needed for quite some time, if I'm being honest. We have not done a good job. And I say we because I own it as the president of UAPRN, of lighting the fire and putting the fire that's needed to bring all 4 pillars of APRNs together so that we can really move the needle forward towards full practice. So trust and understand that we're right there with you. We're going to be very strategic with our next steps because guess what? We're not going back here again. We're going to use this momentum to our benefit, but we equally recognize we have to solve this while we move towards the full practice. So absolutely, I hear you, Tal. Appreciate the comment. I thought I saw a hand up. And if I was wrong, did I say a hand up? Was that Valencia? Yes, Valencia. If you would unmute Valencia, I think she has a comment or a question.
And hello, everyone. Thank you all for attending. So after we finish this, before we end, are we going to talk about, you mentioned about how we are stronger together and things like that. We really need everyone's support on here with membership. And I don't know, Nancy, if you're going to have a very candid talk about that, while we're on here, and you might have it on your radar, but I just wanted to make sure that we talk about that in an open, honest way where we are with that.
Surely. I appreciate the comment, and that is Dr. Valencia Fleming. She's the Vice President of UAPRN. What she's referencing is the momentum we've tried to make with membership as an organization. When Robin and Juliana go to the Capitol, I'll just be honest, they do such an amazing job. They sacrifice their days and their times and their efforts, and they have a team. There's a Government Relation Council team that works with Robin and Juliana. But I'll be honest, when they show up and it's about numbers both in head count and quite honestly, numbers in bank account. I'll just make it as plain as I can. As much as we are recognized, we meaning nurses are recognized as the backbone of healthcare, at the end of the day, it is dollars and cents and head counts. So what the momentum has been, if you guys have checked out the membership videos we've done, it would be amazing if when we show up representing 20,000. as opposed to, and we're above 600, by the way, kudos to you guys, but as opposed to 600. And this organization has been in the thousands into 2000s, and the pandemic happened and all of that. But numbers do matter. And when we have an audience of people who are busy, we are busy taking care of our patients, ourselves, our families, but if we would just join, and when we show up with the registration count of 1,000 or 1,500, we go to a legislator, we show them, we say, here are your constituents, and this is what they're asking of us. We have a different voice. We have a more powerful voice. So yes, membership is important. And here's the thing, communication platforms is through the membership platforms. So when you're not getting updates and you're not getting messages and you're not hearing from us, or it seems as if we're not doing, it is because maybe you're not connected. So if you have not joined, I really encourage you to do so. And that's what Dr. Fem was alluding to. So thank you for
Yes.
that as well.
Thank you. Can I make a comment, Madam President,
Sure.
after you on that?
Of
And
course.
I just want to also break it down. So we're saying, oh, we need TV ads. I've seen it in billboards. That takes money. So those are very expensive. So if you only have 600 members, or 600 plus now, you don't have the dollars to do a billboard or a TV ad. We don't have the dollars to do that. But if we had 20,000 people, you could do a TV ad, you could do a billboard, you could do more with those dollars. So think about that as a whole. Thank you, Madam President.
Of course, and we're going to keep using social media. It's been a wealth of information and knowledge for us. Okay, so let's keep going to the comments. Let's see, is there a virtual option if unable to take off? Yes, so I'm glad you asked. So when we know more, and I'm assuming this is Hannah Hayes, about the June 4th meeting, we want to be able to be impactful. For those who can't be present, maybe we give a unified time of day where everyone sends a message to their representative, that kind of thing. So for sure. Can we can still practice? That's the question. Yes, yes. Don't I say that not telling you what to do, but this is not about whether you can practice per se. This is about what the interpretation of the ruling is of the collaborative agreement. And I hope that offers you some clarity. The name just shows up as your C, but the question was, can we still practice? There was a question about the date. We've addressed that. Let's see, next question, verifying the date. Can you share what is going on? The complete story just need clarification. I think we've done that. Someone is asking, where in Brunswick? I'm assuming they mean the governor. I'm going to leave that a little bit open. Let's see, I have reached out to Candace Taylor, who can speak directly to Dr. Ben Watson, if that helps. Let's see, the person is under KSENA, so GRC. The contact person is KSENA on the chat, and they have a contact for Candace Taylor and Dr. Ben Watson. We need to have a time at least 2 days ahead. Yes, of course, go right ahead.
Can I say
Surely.
that unfortunately now Dr. Watson, remember, has not supported our APR, any of our legislation, is a member of the medical association. He's very respectful to me personally. I work with him well on other issues, but he probably would, even if you reached out, I would expect might be even a little defensive and supportive of the medical association. That's just
This would be true. This would be true.
Yeah. You can still certainly send information to him to let him know how concerned we are, but just be prepared that you might get something back saying that he supports.
The next comment is from Dr. Naomi O'Baylor. We need to have 2 days in advance. Yes, so we're going to give as much notice in advance as we can. Remember, we're dependent on that agenda being released, so we can offer you details on the time. Somebody dropped the email and number for Nikki Evans. So Nikki Evans was the one who had some contact information for GRC. So GRC, if you would check the comments for Nikki Evans, she put her number and email. That is not what it shows. IV Ketamine Clinic owned by... Oh, IV Ketamine Clinic owned by a CRNA saved my life. That's a testimony, Hannah. So please take hold of that. We need full practice authority. We hear you. Full practice authority is resonating through, let's see, taking primary care away from 3 million Georgians. Right again. I'm a bit oblivion about asking patients to submit a letter of concern. How can we best leverage powerful voices? So you can gather those voices. be sure HIPAA compliant, get disclosure statements from patients and so on, right? So all those things in place, and this is from Deborah. Once you have those things in place, then yes, you can share on behalf of your patient or empower your patient with the legislator's point of contact. They can also speak directly to them as a constituent, for sure. Wall Street Journal just published in the last couple of weeks that nurse practitioners is best and hottest job. Maybe the authors of that article would take a grab. That's the media question again. Let's see. They only make the first meet. Okay, so they only take the first time to meet. So this was about the Wall Street Journal article. Are you referring to Savannah? This was a back and forth between two participants. Okay. 1099, this was in reference to considered employment. So that employment narrative is a little bit vague. We recognize that 1099 versus contract and so on. We recognize that that's a little bit vague. So the definitions of those, and those are the questions when you're putting things back into your legislators. That's what you challenge them. The ambiguity of those conversations, that's what you would reference, that it is unclear to us as a constituent and an APRN in the state what you mean by such things. We have insurance, insurers spoken up. So that's a different angle. Will they continue to cover APRNs with paid collaborative agreements? I don't think we've considered that. And I think this is from Leah Hammond, and you're talking maybe about malpractice and the like, but I don't think, unless Robin, Juliana, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we have, and Leah and I have been talking as well. Malpractice and insurance, we're very, very worried that they're going to get wind of this and we could be dropped. So that's why this stay or this to rescind this is extremely important.
I see a comment from Dr. Patterson. Due to my social media advocacy, I have been invited to speak about this topic. So full disclosure, Dr. Patterson and I do work in occasion on media and collaboration. So this is an example of work that all of us do independent of our work here at UAPRN and our respective places of employment. But at the end of the day, you're an APRN. You are an individual. You're a constituent for the state of Georgia. As long as you represent yourself and you delineate yourself representing an organization, then yes, you can advocate for yourself as an APRN in the state of Georgia. Okay, it is now 7:56. I want to respect everyone's time. Clearly, there is a need for this call to continue. We have had over 200 persons participate, and I think we were able to address most of the questions, if not all. Let's see, one just popped in. Sammy says, if the concern is truly about compensation and a collaborative provider, shouldn't this be inclusive of all medical spas in the state, especially the chain medical spas? It's not a bad point. As an APRN that's worked for a chain med spa, it was without a doubt the medical director of the practice that was being compensated. Not wrong. Is this law specifically for clinics/NP owned, or does this law apply to any Georgia NP-led entity? So I think Robin addressed that earlier. NP owned. NP owns. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and speak on behalf of the leadership team that we're going to do this call again. And we have our save the date for June 4th, but clearly there's an interest in this platform to continue. We will work on the logistics, likely the same day and time slot. We want to give you guys an opportunity. I hope you found this helpful, first of all. I hope you found this helpful. The idea is to create the platform to give you information as real time as we can, because things are changing literally. We meet in the morning, we have a board and a committee meeting, and by that evening, there's an announcement. So just know and understand that we are actively meeting and strategizing on your behalf. But with that said, we do understand the anxiety. We want everyone well informed. We're going to create this platform again for some ongoing dialogue. So please stay tuned. So we're going to close it out with 3 minutes to spare, just in case any person in leadership has words to say. We'll pause to allow anyone in leadership to speak. And I appreciate all the applause and the thumbs up and all the, I see iPhone with a hand up. iPhone, I'm not sure who iPhone is.
This is Juliana. I
Hey.
wanted to ask all of those that were on the call tonight, is there some way that we can capture everyone's either email or cell phone so that like even if we need to have another quick meeting, if we found something important, or if we want to send an update out, we need to have everyone that joined tonight, have them set up in an email or text chain of some kind of way to communicate with them.
So the fastest way, Juliana, is actually through EMP and it's through the membership website. But what we've learned is that although we've been aiming a lot of this during membership, there is a way to capture non-members as well. So when we flood the marketing information is going out to everyone. Now that we have some social media connections, we're also using social media. Now, what we may do next time is to create a link that people can opt to go into the link and then create that running list of sorts. So maybe we'll capture that in the next one.
Nancy, hey, Desiree.
Hey.
There was a question in the chat about, do you have 2 to 3 action items that you want people on this call right now to do?
Yes. When you go to the EMP network, thank you, Desiree. Appreciate you catching that. On the website, if you go to the EMP website, onto the right side is resources. When you click on resources, there's some action items right there. Yes, you can use it. What's not yet there, because remember, things are happening fast, June 4th. That's not on there. So we're still wanting you to call. We wanted you to advocate, get everyone you know involved. I think I saw my husband post on there, and he's a vet. Everyone you know that is going to be directly or indirectly impacted, let them flood the calls, social media, and bring attention to this matter. Although we're limited by going to the media right now, you guys are not. You guys are not limited, and we put those resources under the guidance of our lobbyists once we have the language scrubbed, if you will. But you guys are empowered to do so. So yes, the call to action is listed there. I see a few emails. So GRC, if you're on here, you want to catch some emails, they're dropping them in the chat. Monique, thank you. Dr. Felicia Carter, thank you. She put her email and her number.
Someone asked
in fact,
Nancy
we'll stay
about
on. Go ahead,
the
Desiree.
EMP platform, and just it's the platform that UAPRN website is working through. So EMP just refers to the platform that the membership portal is working through. So
That is
go to
correct, yes.
UAPRN.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity. When you go to UAPRN ENP network, if you will, it'll take you to the platform. It's the same way you go to do your membership. So Juliana, you asked for it, you got it. In fact, I'll stay on because it's 8 o'clock. But certainly if you need to disconnect, by all means, I'll stay on. But GRC, if you are on here, you guys have names and numbers that are flooding the comments. I would start copying and pasting. You guys have lots
Hey,
of
Desiree, one other thing too, is there any way we can energize the students?
Yes,
very
Dr.
students.
Whitten. Dr. Whitten, can you speak through that? She did. She actually reached out.
Yes,
Go
so
right ahead.
I have contacted all of the universities in Georgia leadership. I provided them the information for tonight, also the information for the meeting at the board next week. We would love for you all to participate. I can't emphasize enough. Please join us. Please contribute to our PAC. This is the money that directly helps us make policy and implement and make changes in this state. And we need everyone. I have to say, policy is practice. Everything that happens in policy impacts your business or patient access to your practice. So please come join us. I mean, we just look forward to everyone coming to the meeting next week that can. We will have this information up on the website, at the ENP website. So again, please join us, and thank you everyone for showing up tonight.
Yeah, you have more names. There's more names. Deborah, thank you. Angela, thank you. They're putting their emails. Let's see. Paul,
And we're screenshotting these. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And join. Deborah Williams, thank you. Anthony Hall, thank you. Elizabeth, thank you. Jay White, thank you.
I think she froze. Is everybody else frozen? Or can you still? There you go.
No, just Nancy.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Am I frozen still?
No, you're
No.
not.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So you guys can screenshot the names. Let's see. Favorite healthcare. Thank you. Dana, there should be a way to access emails who joined the emails. Yes, Dana, there is. Absolutely. We have that roster of everyone's emails and the names that are being dropped here. Assuming you guys are members, we'll capture your emails there as well. Let's see, Nicole Arnold, thank you. She dropped her direct telephone. And there is Franska. Since we are at the end of the agenda formalities, 444 marketing, feel free to unmute Franska's iPhone for her to speak and or comment. Is our marketing team still on? Okay, so I'll continue. Franska had her.
Okay, yes, I'm here now. Sorry, I just got unmuted. Good job, every one of you. Thank you so much. Just a quick question. Does this affect correctional facilities as well?
Correction facilities, Juliana and Robin, does it affect correctional facilities?
Well,
Yeah, I would say as a former corrections nurse practitioner, I was actually an employee for that physician, so it did not impact me. But there are some nurse practitioners that actually own corrections businesses. So if you own that business and you're paying your collaborator through a third party, yes, it's impacting you.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
in this case, the person is not paying the physician. The third party is paying the physician,
Yep.
whoever owns the contract.
Same.
Still applicable. Still applicable. That is
Ah.
one of our main concerns.
Yeah,
This
the
is
third
good.
party.
This
Yeah,
is really
that's what we got to
Thank-
advocate. Yeah, that's what we got to advocate. Thank you for the
yeah,
question.
Thank you so
Of course, and there are more names and numbers in the chat. And let's see. Thank you, Dr. Eden.
Thank you.
Info iPhone 5. There's a few. Davita? Jovita. Marketing, if you can meet her for her question, Jovita.
Phone number 678
And I-
702 2488.
And Jovita for a question.
Can you hear me?
We can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I don't know. I just joined the group and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Can you explain, please? Thank you.
Sure. So in a recap, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the ruling, the Georgia Composite ruling that came out in the last week and a half. There's been several updates since the initial ruling, but the short version, we had a call this evening to bring everyone up to speed. We allowed for an update from our lobbyist, Juliana, and the chair of our government relation councils, Robin. She provided updates to date, and we have a call to action. That's the short version, Jovita. We're going to provide an update via our website, but we have a call to action that's coming up on June 4th. We tied that call to action for the next Georgia Composite Board meeting, and we're asking everyone to kind of save the date for June 4th. And when we get updates on the specific time, then we will put that posting on our website. But this is specific to the collaborative agreement and the ruling that is suggesting that paying or compensating the collaborative or hiring your delegating physician is potentially putting those NP practice owners at risk of, quote, either breaking the law or potentially being at out of compliance with the composite agreement.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Most welcome. We have two more questions. I think one is from Ms. Patel. We'll start with Ms. Patel.
Dr. Nancy and team, thank you very much for tonight's presentation, and thank you for having our back. It really means a lot, and I know you guys take a lot of time now to support APRNs and people like us. I do have a question and a concern. I've been in business for 12 years, just FYI, as an NP, and I do own an IV clinic, which for me was a double whammy because I am an IV clinic specialist. However, I don't own a hydration bar, and I think the medical board, including the board of nursing, don't not understand the difference between an IV clinic and a hydration bar. And I think what they do is they clump all these providers in one basically bucket. And of course, the hydration bars is something it's a problem. You shouldn't have patients picking from a menu. I think that's a safety concern. I agree with all of that. My practice operates differently. But what I want to bring to your attention is my collaborating physician, we've had a relationship for a very long time. And we've had issues with the board of nursing where our agreement protocols do not get verified on time. Takes a really long time, and we're in kind of a no man's zone. It's a gray zone because there's no documentation of any sort of protocol that's recorded. 1 year it did not record. The money was taken by the BON. I did not have my physician listed as my protocol delegating physician. We just have a tendency in-house every 2 years to sit down and renew all our documents. We don't have to, but we do. We sign the APRN delegating physician forms all over again, send them to the board, and that's just our way of staying on top of things. But in the past, there has been, like, my name will not show up on that comprehensive list when BON meets and they approve the documentation. Is there any help on that front? Because I feel like once this blows up and it starts to get into a legal dilemma, there's probably several nurse practitioners, RNs, NPs, PAs, like whatever that looks like, that's not going to have like an accurate board documentation, because BON, again, it's been troublesome to get hold of anybody at the BON or even work on our protocols with our physicians.
Anyone from GRC wants to take that one?
Robin, I think with the updated system, with the Composite Board of Medicine and everything being done electronically, that this is going to improve things. But we are still waiting to see ourselves.
So
I
I have another provider in my clinic. We filed our protocols with the same physician on the same date. Mine got approved. Hers is yet to be approved, and it's 18 months later.
Oh, that's
Was it done?
yeah.
Was hers done electronically, or was it
Nope.
done when the paper?
It was right before the electronic submitted paper,
That's-
just because. And then we
Composite
submitted
Board.
electronically on top of it, and we're still yet to hear from the board.
Yeah, so this is one of those
I mean, we know about the problems
Yeah.
with the paper, but as far as electronic, that is the first that I've heard. Robin, are you on here? Have you heard any issues with the electronic filing other than the issue that we're talking about tonight?
I think
I'm not sure if she's still on, but I will see if I can get back to you after speaking to Robin.
Okay, that'll be great.
done.
It's just, I
But
feel
Rob-
like we already have negativity towards APRNs. This is an additional layer of you're not doing what you're supposed to do at the state level. And then it backfires on some sort of a nurse practitioner at some point. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but this is frustrating, especially when they're coming at us. So, it feels like they're out to get us. Really, it is.
And we do have
Well,
a
I
comment from
understand.
a Gina Bailey hearing, and she says, just to offer clarification, I believe you're speaking about the GCMB and not BON. You likely need to resubmit. Please reach out to me. And that's G Hearing, GHERRING at gmh.edu. And that's Gina Bailey Hearing in the comments. And this is for Ms. Patel. If
Okay.
she's offering some support there for you.
That would be great. I need to find Miss Gina's
Yeah,
contact.
so her comments are towards the latter part. If you look towards the latter part of comments, hers, there's a few that came in after hers, but if you can probably search the chat.
Oh, I
And
see her.
You
Yeah.
see, perfect. And
Yes.
thank you for
Thank
that.
you, Miss Gina. Thank you.
Thank you. I
Thank
see
you so
another hand
much.
that went up. It's under Soul. Thank you for the question, Ms. Patel.
Yep.
Soul Care Health hand is up. 444. You can unmute Soul Care.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. We've been on this since yesterday. So it looks like we need to all pack our stuff, go stay in their office at least for 7 days on hunger strike. Anyway, so this is my question, just to get clarity. Is this only bordered on those MPs paying the physicians or everybody? Is the physicians offering this service for free? Are they also affected? Or practices that physicians are offering their services for free, are they also affected?
I think the ambiguity lies there because what percent of ownership versus what is deemed ownership versus what is deemed compensation versus what is an employee, 1099. So the short answer is possibly and likely. But because there is such vagueness in what is considered a quote employee, then yes, it could be potentially even those who are not literally getting money in hand per se, potentially yes. Potentially, yes. I see a hand for Fair Buck, 444. Thank you for the question, Soul Care. Fair Buck's hand, I believe, was next. And then Natalie.
Yes. Hi. So I was just thinking about this, and sometimes stupid decisions like what was made to kind of have this overreach can be just the thing that makes people look at the law, that it could actually end up helping nurse practitioners because if you can make the argument that if they start seeing that paying is a problem, but everybody agrees that nurse practitioners should work, and yet there's not enough jobs, and yet there's this need, then the payment is the problem. Well, the whole point is, okay, so let's get rid of the the supervision, because that's the
Exactly.
obstacle to
Exactly.
practice.
That's it.
You know, I mean,
it.
I think that this is so ironic that they're doing this, because it only kind of brings up how ridiculous. I think you can use it for your advantage
For sure.
to kind of get more practice authority, because it's showing that it's look at all the businesses it's going to harm in Georgia. You can, to the legislatures, you could say, you know, this is going to harm all these different people and all these different businesses, and look at all the patients and all the people. And so if this is the problem with the law, if it's the money, if it's trying to figure out how to do this work, well, let's get rid of the supervision law.
That's it. I appreciate the comment. And just going into back into the chat, Taylor says they hit the hornet's nest for sure. Jennifer Johnson, if they're not going to respond, she's suggesting that you go into an electronic submission, and she's offering the link for those who are on here with issues with submission. She's offering the link for the electronic submission.
And we've heard that, and we've also heard that they were making, at one point, people reapply when you missed even one question and pay the fee again. So please make sure every single question is checked by the collaborating physician. There's that checklist, because if you miss one single thing, and they've complained about that, and they've even said how unprofessional it looks. They have criticized us for that, and not saying that that's you. It's just that it's easy to make a mistake like this, but they are just throwing these out with any little issue.
Agreed, Dr. Whitten. Thank you for that. Natalie, I see your hand, and then Valencia Fleming is next.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. I really want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing. But I am one of those nurse practitioners, but that I guess would be affected. But my question was and is, so is that including our spouses who have part ownership, so that if they were the owners of the company, would that still would I still be in the same boat if he had full ownership versus if I had partial or whatever?
And correct me, Robin, Juliana, Shannon, if I'm wrong, but I think the answer is no.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I think that's. I think that is
Shannon,
one
Robert,
it's up in the air right now. We don't have clarification yet. Now, my attorney has told me that if I flip the split to me being 51, from being 51 to 49, my husband would flip it, that would be okay, but we still need to hear the final decision from the board.
We don't know. And I do have a nurse practitioner colleague who's same kind of situation, that the family member owns a majority of it. Their protocol agreement was not denied. This was maybe 2 years ago, though, and before everything was being brought to light. But that's something that we have got to clarify next week at this meeting.
Use them.
And
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? And I'll
surely go right ahead.
Okay, so also that helps in some respect. But lastly, so with the full practice authority and the timeline of what everything is going on, so I guess in that respect is my next question. And I know it's hard to, no crystal ball, but at the same time, full practice authority is the next step. And then, I plan on going on my social media site and letting everybody know, posting this thing and, telling patients who to contact and writing a petition in my office, because I still have patients that, several have told me I saved their life. And, it's because I care, not because I'm just trying to write a prescription and send them out the door. But with that being said, what do you prospectively see as a timeline from if they give us like this terrible worst in case scenario, and then our argument with full practice authority, and we want it now?
Well, if nothing else, our legislative session is not until next year. So then there's that. That is not to say momentum and activity and actions cannot be ongoing leading up to that. But in terms of a ruling and a decision, and you're right, there is no crystal ball. I will say this, though, this will create the momentum we need for the energy that we will petition. Now, we do reference AANP a lot. We recognize AANP as a nurse practitioner organization. We represent all APRNs in the state and the UAPRN, but they do offer a guide of sorts that they have navigated in other states. So they're one of the resources that we can tap into. So yes, Natalie, unfortunately, there is no crystal ball, but there is no question that we are going to keep this momentum going for sure.
But
I want to reference.
Nancy,
go right ahead.
Can we just make one that we are in an election year? This is pivotal. Juliana, I can tell you how we have fought very hard at the Capitol. We aren't getting a lot of support from the Senate right now, and that Senate is led by Burt Jones. Now, UAPRN is nonpartisan. We don't tell anybody how to vote. We just tell facts. And, the Senate is a mess. It's been a mess. We can't get anything passed. We had Senator Dr. Ben Watson who added that really crazy amendment to our innocent House bill, Home Health Bill, House Bill 54, that actually killed it with the transgender language. And then we have legislators who have openly told us that MAG is one of their biggest contributors to their campaign, so they will not ever oppose MAG. So we need that stuff gone. We need our legislators to be objective, not be bought, and really fight for Georgians. So everybody better vote. Now, on that, I did ask Nancy on the registration piece for the 4th to please write or enter who your state senator and rep is. When we have days at the Capitol, it's really, really hard when people come to the Capitol and they don't know who their reps are, and we have to, or senators are, and we have to Google and search, and it just really takes away from the things we should be doing. We just voted at the primary. Everybody should know who their rep is right now.
Absolutely.
Please
Yes,
fill
indeed.
that part out. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
it's
and
time
it
to
is,
vote.
Robin. We should be launching that, if not tomorrow, by late tomorrow evening into first part of Friday. But that registration, yes, we are going to try to capture that detail as well. And it's important, of course, to know your representative, so we know who you're presenting yourself as a constituent. You want to, of course, represent. And Valencia Fleming, I see your hand next.
That's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. I was
No.
just going to say, if people would let us know that, I'm glad you're doing that, because this issue is so important. I wanted to make sure that every representative and every state house and senator was contacted. And the only way we can do that is to know where people live. So we will make sure everybody has been touched in this state within the next few weeks. And
Absolutely.
so I was going to take ownership of that and tell them to send it in info UAPRN. But if you're going to capture that, that's fine.
And that capturing is specific to the registration, but we're going to certainly keep the momentum of capturing it outside of that for sure. This is
okay, great.
Registration, because Robin gave the recommendation to add that. So I circled back with ENP, and they're helping me develop that registration. They're going to include those 2 questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Chandler Paget, I see your hand. Go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining the call. I just wanted to ask real quick for those who have gotten on more recently, Robin or Juliana or Nancy, whoever feels this on their heart, would y'all, for those that have recently joined, kind of reiterate the importance of being present for the meeting on June 4th and who is anticipated to be present and be at the meeting, and why it's important to be present if we're able to?
Thank you for that. I realize there's some people who are still joining, which is amazing. Thank you guys. So yes, absolutely, Dr. Patchett. So we are referencing June 4th, and someone asked earlier, do we wait till June 4th to quote, march at the Capitol of sorts? Well, first, the Capitol is they're not active. There's no one there, but June 4th represents the date of the next board meeting. We want, when we coalesce and we come together as a group, we want to be impactful. We've chosen the June 4th because they put the memo out last night of that meeting coming up. We want to show up, and I think Robin said 500 is the goal, 500 plus, that on that June 4th, although the agenda is pending, so we don't have the details of that day yet. Once we have it, we'll say to you, show up on such date, such time, and so on. But June 4th is the date of the board meeting. We want as many APRNs in the state to show up, and Juliana, our lobbyist, said it. If you're inclined to put your white coat on, we have done the pashminas in the past for those who are familiar with UAPRN, with the scarves and pashminas. So when we show up, we want to bring attention not only to the amount of the of APRNs that are in the room, but the impact of our presence. If you have a spouse, if you have, I think Robin says she's bringing her office staff, whoever is able to come in with you, that's what we're referring to. If you're not familiar and you're on this call and you're not familiar with the ruling, visit our website. We have put the ruling, the wording of the ruling. Certainly you can visit the composite board. They've not been bashful in putting it out. But the ruling was launched initially. That was on May 7th, I believe. And they put a follow-up statement yesterday. So this is unfolding. This is very it's not tangible. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So we're creating this platform for questions, dialogue, resources, and the like. So I hope that helps clarify for those who just joined. Dr. Felicia Carter, does anyone use Collaborating Docs? Been able to contact, so she's asking if anyone used Collaborating Doc, which is a third-party organization She used them a few days ago. My preference is not to reference another organization on the call per se, but just in generalities, I will say the third-party organizations are equally concerned as we are. So I don't want to reference a company by name on this platform, but I will just say that if you are having challenges collaborating, contacting them, they are probably navigating the challenges of this as well. And that question came from Dr. Carter. Next one up is Carol, and then I see Dr. Patterson next. Carol, you're up. And our marketing team, if you can unmute Carol. MD.
Hello. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hi there. Hey, sorry about that. Hey,
That's all right.
just wanted to ask you, does the association have any sort of data on how many private practice owners there are compared to how many APNs there are in the state? Because it seems like the majority of them are actually employees rather than practice owners. So I'm hoping to kind of I would have loved to see like 500 people on this call or more, because we're truly the ones who are impacted. I've talked to many who are just employees. They say things like, "Oh, that's a bummer," or "Oh, that sucks," but they don't feel like, "Oh my gosh, this is life or death" kind of thing. So
I agree.
I
Great
think
point.
that's one thing to make a point of. And lastly, the Georgia State Senate, despite being a mess, did indicate that in 2026, mental health is a massive concern for them. They earmarked about $500 million to build some additional mental health facilities. Psych nurse practitioners in the state see a ton of mental health cases. Mental health right now in 2026 around the country is a hot topic, especially amongst the youth. So I think every practice is very important, from IV to family to aesthetics. But there is something about mental health right now that resonates amongst people. So I just wanted to, pepper that in there, that it's something the Senate has talked about. They've allocated $500 million. And maybe if we can talk to them about us being, I know someone in North Atlanta who's literally stopped their practice, 400 patients she's stopping next week. So I'll leave it with that.
And that's
Yeah,
a
this is
perfect
why we need
segue.
to.
It's a perfect segue. Dr. Patterson is next to the question, but I will address your question. I have cautioned this to this group because you're right. As much as we're very passionate about this topic, we do have colleagues. They're like, man, that kind of is awful, but and heading on to work. So we have to focus, as much as this topic is important, we need to focus on access to care. That's the common thread. And I'm going to refer to you as Carol MD because that's what I see. The common thread for us as APRNs is access to care. When we change the messaging, understanding that this is important, we know that this composite issue is important. But when we try to incentivize and to excite our APRN colleagues, how are we feeling about limiting access to care for our patients? That's what we need to say to them. You may be okay because you're not working for yourself. You may not be tied into a collaborative agreement and may be canceled, or your employment may not be impacted. But how is the bigger message effective for access to healthcare? And that's what we hope to navigate. And Dr. Patterson, I'll allow you to ask your question next, so we can unmute Dr. Joanne Patterson.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I have been a Psych NP for a long time. And I will tell you this, even when I got my licensure, I chose not to open up a practice here first, specifically because of how restricted this state is. I circled back because I live here and I felt convicted to get involved and engage with the patients here. Right now, my social media platform is where I have chosen to speak up, and I think it's working because, in spite of it all, if we really think about it from a mental health perspective, we are Psych NPs who live in Georgia, and many of us are practicing in full practice authority states because we can virtually. But what is so sad, and that is going to be my talking point until it's heard, that we are improving the outcomes in other states and we cannot do that in our own state. How embarrassing is that?
So true. So
So
true. And
I
that's
am
the,
making
that's the,
Connecticut look great. I'm making Maryland look great. DC look great. Nevada look great. The US Virgin Islands look great. But I can't do that where I live.
wow,
So I am telling you right now, this is the hill that I am dying on.
wow,
I will
wow.
be dying on this hill because this is embarrassing. We are a metropolitan city with this many psych NPs, this many APRNs. We are, we talk a good game about how advanced Atlanta is, but we are in the dark ages. Nursing is the most oppressed profession I have ever seen in my life. And I am so passionate about this. I've never been passionate about politics, but let me tell you something. I can't sleep at night because
Wow.
I
Wow.
cannot. And I will not, I will not stop. So I'm trying very hard to make that point known. We cannot be improving, other people's states and we can't improve our own. So
Wow.
yes, they have their 500 million, but what are you going to do about it? Are you gonna
Mm.
just keep talking? And that not only that, but all these governors that are running, whoever is now the Democratic choice, whoever is the Republican choice, we need to get them engaged.
Yeah, this is very true. This is
We,
very true.
I was just on here sitting here looking at the Democratic Party's little thing to request a meeting because if you want nursing to come out and support you, you need to put this on your platform. This needs to be on your platform. There are 18,000 of us, just APRNs. We're not
Agreed.
even talking nurses.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, I will say this, Dr. Patterson, you really ignited the comments, but as you were speaking, what comes to mind, and this is somewhat parallel and somewhat not related directly, but I have received messages even before the launch of this ruling, the public health and the mental health support and the psych NPs, the need for that coalition. So kind of be on standby for that. You are one of at least 3 or 4 psych NPs I've reached out asking for more visibility in UAPRN. I just want to acknowledge that I've heard you guys and I recognize that we have an opportunity with the psych NPs as a group. So please be on standby for that. And that is apart from this, but recognizing that it certainly impacts the message and the importance of highlighting psych NPs. Okay, question from the comment. Can we collaborate with other states that have game practice authority? We have talked about that as well. We have, as a group, we've collaborated with other organizations. Texas comes to mind. They have the Texas MP organization every year. They have a meeting. New Jersey is no secret. They recently got their full practice authority. So we have not ruled it out. And it is one of those things when we talk about lighting the candle from both ends, dealing with this immediate ruling, but looking at strategy. And one of the strategies is, in fact, looking at other states that have either recently obtained full practice or those who have had history and looking at what they did and mimic it. So that came from Patterson, Jexandria Patterson. Thank you for the question. It is 8:31. You guys are excited and I'm excited. I could stay here all night. But I want to respect you guys' time. Kentucky's full practice authority as well. Let's see. I think Wisconsin is a good state to look at. So GRC, as you guys are strategizing, there's somebody's offering Wisconsin. They have passed FPA in a state that would be okay and enacted in September. Thank you for that recommendation. That came from Kathleen. Okay. So look out for another Zoom meeting because clearly we need
another call.
We do. We will put something on the calendar.
And,
Go ahead, Robin.
and we do watch other states. I'm on multiple federal and state, national or calls for legislative stuff, and we are up to date with everything that the states are doing. We have to be careful. You know, New Jersey had a kind of a win, but it wasn't a real win. And these states that are only allowing FPA for psych and family practice, they still don't flip the metric to from red to green, and they're still going to lose out on rural health transformation grants. New Jersey has to pay money back to that rural health transformation grant because they promised legislation to remove barriers, but it wasn't successful. So yeah, we're watching it very, very carefully.
There is a question. Thank you for that, Robin. There was a question about the location of June 4th. Am I right in saying that it is typically held at the Composite Medical Board location, but because of the crowd anticipated it may change? Is that accurate?
We don't
Okay.
know. Jason, I've texted Jason. He's on vacation. Come to find out, but it is in the Twin Towers. Is where the Board of Medicine is. I've requested a larger room. What Julianne are talking about is maybe we might meet at Freedom Plaza, which is an area right across, directly across from the Capitol, where a lot of
It depends on, what time they go in,
Yes.
what time we're on the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, and as soon as we're gonna update, and that's why we're gonna create the registration, so that way when things are happening, we're gonna use the registration to update communication. But at the minimum, right now, keep your June 4th open. Note that they normally meet, and you can just Google their address. Is that 2 MLK Junior Drive, if you will. But because we anticipate, because of the size of the crowd, they may shift the location site. That is very likely, but just kind of stay tuned.
Or either they could, Nancy, just leave it there so that intentionally because it's too small.
Surely. Yeah,
But
right.
regardless,
Right.
show up.
Right, that's right. Oh, yeah, and if we have to take over the whole building and all 11 floors, we will. Okay. Everyone, I cannot begin to tell you how my heart is filled with the momentum that is here. Just know that I remain humble and enthusiastic and ready to serve on behalf of this organization that is, I can't tell you, this is such an amazing team, the Government Relation Councils, Chair Robin and the work she does that is sleepless and countless. Her entire team, Kelly, Lisa, Chandler, Shannon, Valencia, all of them on the board that supports the work of UAPRN. We did not have the opportunity to introduce our AANP, so we kind of have a dotted line to AANP in that we have 2 Georgia individuals that happen to serve on AANP's leadership, Dr. Michelle Nelson, who couldn't be here, and Dr. Pamela Orgabitz. I want to recognize them as well. Hopefully they can join the next call. We're going to close out with Courtney R's question, and then you guys are free to disconnect until we announce our next meeting. 444 marketing, please unmute Courtney, and with that, with her question, it will end. Go ahead, Courtney. Go right ahead, Courtney. And she may have been, I think she may have gotten disconnected. Okay, so we are looking forward to see you guys again next week. Everybody stay safe. Appreciate everyone's support. All the best to all of you. Good night.